Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is another area that is expected to get pounded by our powerful nor'easter as it works its way up into places like New Jersey eventually. Virginia Beach, one of the many communities already vulnerable from storms that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. This is where we find Fox Weather Correspondent Brandy Campbell. Brandy, always great to see you on a Saturday. And I'm looking behind you, and it looks like, they are preparing, making sure folks are out of the water. What are you seeing in Virginia Beach right now?
Well, good morning or good afternoon to you at this point. Michael, as you take a look at the beach here, you can see, yes, you have Ocean Rescue right here just monitoring things. We're going to hopefully talk to them soon, but I want to show you all the ocean conditions right now. Later on today, we're going to get into that high surf advisory later tonight going into Sunday. But as you can see, things already look choppy, but we know that's not going to be the huge story for us. It's really going to be that coastal flood warning that we're going to be under with those northeasterly winds potentially gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour on top of any rainfall that we get. But we're going to be keeping an eye on those wind speeds, but also the coincidence of the high tide. So tomorrow morning and as well as tomorrow afternoon during those high tides is when we might see some issues of coastal flooding here in the Virginia Beach area along the Chesapeake as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. But I want to introduce you guys to Danielle Spade. She's here with Emergency Management for Virginia Beach. So thank you for meeting us out here. We know prep is pretty much the main thing that's happening. Can you talk to us about some of the things Virginia Beach are putting in place or have already done to prepare for what's to come?
Yeah, so we've been, clearing ditches, monitoring the water levels, securing loose items on the boardwalk, on the oceanfront. We do have emergency response vehicles and high water vehicles staged throughout the city. So really just prepping assets and, monitoring the conditions.
Right. What would you say at this point is your biggest concern? Just looking at what the National Weather Service is forecasting in according to the flood warning, the coastal flood warning, they stated, and it's just a forecast obviously, but there could be 2 to 3 feet of water above ground flooding in some areas. For you with emergency management, what is the biggest concern, especially, given your residential areas here?
Yeah, so we are looking at the tidal charts and are monitoring those tides, especially like you said, tomorrow afternoon. We did have the king tide earlier this week, so monitoring that very closely. We're also looking at the wind potential. So there is, the potential for some isolated power outages. So definitely working with our, partners like Dominion Energy to kind of have good communication and monitor the potential for power outages.
Gotcha. And then I also understand there are some flood walls, not flood walls, but some areas that you guys have floodgates, right, that you've shut off. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, correct. So our public works has been monitoring our floodgates and has been, doing the measures they need to based on the water levels that they're seeing.
Gotcha. Okay. So prepping those areas to avoid some of that flooding, lowering water levels and such. What message would you give to your residents here in this area? I know this isn't their first rodeo. We've had several storms far away, but still giving some coastal impacts. What would you like them to know at this time and how they should prepare as well?
So make sure to secure loose items in your yard. We do have that wind potential. And if you need your car to be moved to a higher area, we do have our town center parking garages open. And we do have a city alerting system called VB Alert. So if you're not signed up for those notifications, that's a great way to get up-to-date information for the city, as well as checking our city website for up-to-date information.
All right. And I'm sure y'all are going to be keeping us updated so we can share all of that information on air. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And again, guys, today, not the main day for us here in Virginia Beach. It's really going to be overnight going into pretty much most of Sunday. We're going to see that heavy rainfall, and as we already talked about, those high wind speeds. So yes, if you have anything laying around, make sure to go ahead and pick it up. Even at my hotel, we're staying here on the beach. They knocked on my door early this morning asking me to pick up all the chairs and tables on the balcony. So I even had to do just a little bit of preparation too as a visitor here on Virginia Beach. But so far we're doing okay. We're dry. The wind speeds aren't crazy. Our app's showing about 15 mile per hour wind speed. So, but it's really be the next day that we're going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah,
Back to you.
no, Brandy, to your point, this is a really good prep day. That was a wonderful interview with Danielle, by the way. I love how she really highlighted the prep work that's being done and the things that folks in Virginia Beach can do. To your point, tonight into early tomorrow morning is kind of going to be game time for seeing the most intense action. The waves, by the way, just offshore from where you're at, Brandy, at about 9 feet, but that's expected to grow in size and intensity. Just a real quick is, where Virginia Beach is located is at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. And so I'm just randomly kind of curious, like even inside the bay, like the Chesapeake Bay, there's some coastal flooding concerns, even, not just on the ocean front, but also in the bay, right?
Exactly. And I guess when you consider that northeasterly wind, it's really going to be hitting those waterways within the bay. And so some of those rivers are okay right now, but they are expected to go into major flood stage. So that is something we're also going to be keeping an eye on too.
Yeah, I mean, we have alerts literally all the way up to Annapolis, Maryland. It's really impressive to see, which is way inside the Chesapeake. Brandy, I know that you'll be on top of it every step of the way. Thank you so much for the awesome interview, and we'll, of course, check back in with you here in just a little bit.